Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited. I've got Danny Thompson, the Danny Thompson, with us to talk about how to grow your audience online as a creator. So, before we even get started, I want to honor Danny's time. He's only with us for a short amount of time, but I'm sure we can get a lot of value from him. So with that said, Danny, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here, and hopefully we get some value out of this time.
Awesome. So I think let's start off with an introductory question. Who you are and what you do.
Right. So for those that don't know me, I'm Danny Thompson. I'm D Thompson Dev on most social platforms. And my background is, for a long time, I used to fry chicken in a gas station. I ended up learning how to code. I turned that passion of learning how to code into the ability to land a job in tech. But on top of that, I've helped hundreds upon hundreds of other people land their very first jobs in tech as well. But my biggest passion, honestly, is just helping people. So I love helping communities grow. I love helping people start their own communities. I'm now working at Google in a capacity of dev ecosystem. So what I do, honestly, is just helping developers all over North America and the world try to find resources, have great communities, making sure that if their community exists, that we're providing resources to them to try and help them flourish in a way. And that really kind of married my passion of tech with community building together. And I mean, every day at work now is incredible. But I've built quite a big following in just, years' time. If you would have told me a year ago that I would have a following the way that I have now, there's no way. To give you an idea, on average, I'm getting about 20 to 25 million impressions monthly just on Twitter alone. I've been able to parlay that into a public speaking career to the point where I'm literally fully booked through all of 2021. And we literally had to skip a tech check just to make this talk happen because I really wanted to be here with y'all. But I seriously have no speaking opportunities left. And that's kind of the goal for me, more so to leverage the online audience to create opportunities for me to do what I really enjoy, which is helping others, but also speaking. So I think a lot of people get so caught up in the vanity metrics, and it shouldn't be that. It should be whatever value you can pull out from, whether it's 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people. If you can pull value out of that number, that is what really matters in the grand scheme of things. That's a really long introduction, by the way. I know you just said, "Hey, how you doing?" and I just kind of went. But
no, that's perfect. And I mean, there's so much to touch on there. But you mentioned one key thing, and in short, you've got a massive audience. You talk about adding value and all of that. I want to get into that. But before we even get into how you got this audience and any tips you can give, I want to maybe start off with the question, and that is, why should someone build an audience? What are the benefits of doing so?
Honestly, it's almost what I call like farmer syndrome. You get in what you put in and you get out what you put out, right? So if your goal to build an audience is to just kind of get yourself known, you can absolutely do that. I can tell you right now, there are zero possibilities that I would be at my job at Google if it wasn't for my LinkedIn profile. I'm big on LinkedIn, somewhat big on LinkedIn, but I'm somewhat big on Twitter. But LinkedIn for sure is one major reason why I even had this role. And the thing is, if you use your social media right, if you use it as a tool as opposed to a meme generator, what you can end up doing with that is you can make yourself an authority on a subject. You can prove you know what you know. And by learning, growing, and displaying your information in public, it lets people know what your capabilities are. And so, for example, let's use the example of tech. If you want to be known as a developer and you're sharing projects that you've made and problems that you're solving and websites that you've created, that lets someone like me, if I just pop on your profile, I know, oh, this person, he's a developer, she's a developer. They know exactly what's going, what they're doing. They can prove what they know. Proof of knowledge is paramount, especially in a social world. If I were to go to a restaurant and I eat the food, I know the chef is a great cook if the food is great, right? And I know the chef is terrible if the food is bad. Social media gives you that same opportunity to touch people that are not in your immediate vicinity. So I can now walk myself into circles in the East Coast of the United States and the West Coast of the United States, even though I'm in the center of the country. That platform allows you to do that. So I will tell you right now, I get job opportunities left and right because of my social presence. I can tell you right now, I've gotten more. I'll tell you like this: 25% of my yearly income in 2020 literally all came from LinkedIn. All of it came from LinkedIn. So for me, that's where you should be really focusing, because LinkedIn and Twitter or wherever you are, LinkedIn is a place where people are making decisions. People aren't on there to really like mess around. They're making business savvy decisions. So if your goal is freelancing, why wouldn't you want to talk directly with decision makers for that business? Why would you want to go compete with the global marketplace where you can just have your profile do the work for you? These are the things that I take into account when I'm looking at using my social media. So for me, you can make money off of social media because there's plenty of ways, like whether you parlay that into public speaking, whether you parlay that into selling your own products. I can tell you right now, I released a Twitter course on Gumroad that made me quite a bit of money, and it still sells pretty much every single day. And I mean, it's just there. I don't have to really actively promote it. I haven't made a post for that in 4 or 5 months, and it still sells almost every single day. So like those are the things, when you produce your presence, your brand will speak louder for you than you ever could. So when people know you as a trustworthy creator, when they know that you are about your business and that you are knowledgeable on said topics, that will speak way louder than anyone else ever could.
Wow. I love that answer. And I think in my mind, if I can condense that and summarize it, it's almost like, why should you build an audience? Opportunities and influence. Would you condense it to that?
Sure. Awesome. I'm sure there's other factors, but I mean, for me, those are like the big two.
No, that's amazing. Okay. Now, in terms of building an audience, I mean, in my mind, you're like the master at this. You know, like I wouldn't want to speak to someone, someone else on this topic. Seriously. And now, with that said, I mean, you've got a massive audience. I mean, you've got I think like close to 100,000 on Twitter. You've got a massive audience on LinkedIn and probably some other social platforms as well. Let's start off with, how did you build this audience, and any tips to aspiring creators on how to build an audience too?
So this is a question I get all the time. And the biggest tip I can ever give you is consistency delivers consistent results. Your success in any field, in any endeavor that you ever do, is going to be the culmination of very consistent small wins. No one ever wakes up and is like, oh, I know everything in the world in one day, right? It's the culmination of, you get beat down one day, you have a success the next day, but it's very consistent. I guarantee you that culmination will bring you that big win that you really want, because enough small steps complete that journey. It's the same thing here. Every post you make, it doesn't matter if no one sees it or if 1 million people see it, it costs you the exact same thing to create that post. $0 and 0 cents. Every post you make is a free billboard, right? And so the more billboards that you put out, that is the more visibility and the more fishing nets, so to speak, that you get to get people to put eyes on you, right? And then what ends up happening is your ability to convert them from viewer to follower. And what's going to end up happening there is, for me, the most important piece of real estate on your profile is the header and tagline of your profile, because that instantly lets them know who you are and what you're about. And your very first post, because they'll scroll a little bit to see, those are your hooks, especially on Twitter. That is your hook. That little bit of real estate is the most important real estate, because it doesn't change, but it lets them know who you are and why they should follow you. The other thing I would say is, when it comes to social media, it is incredibly easy to find that follow button, right? It is also incredibly easy to also find the unfollow button. Meaning, if you are producing content and you are saying you want to be in a niche, let's say you want to be in the fitness niche, right? If you start talking about cars, I didn't sign up for that. So a post or two might be fine, but if it starts becoming a repetitive trend, when I followed you to get information on supplementation and workouts and workout regimens and sleep patterns, like I came to you for that. I don't care about a Lamborghini when I came to you for this source. Why are you sharing car stuff with me? It's the same thing here. Be very consistent, because if you're getting known for a specific set of skills, you need to keep producing them. It's different for personality accounts, meaning you're famous in something and people are following you because they know Brad Pitt, right? Or they know Tom Cruise, or they know, Elijah Woods or whatever. They know these human beings, so they follow them for their personality. A lot of the times when you're not known and you're trying to get known to build an audience, to possibly build a business or build a presence, they're following you for something. You're saying you're an authority on something. Whatever that something is, someone somewhere wants to see it, and they don't want to see something else unrelated to that. So, for example, my niche is technology because that's what I'm known, but really I kind of carved out a different subsect of that. And I'm more along the lines of, I hate saying motivational, but I mean, people put that on me. And so when people think about me, their characteristic is Danny's in technology and he's a great motivator and he helps people land jobs in tech. Like, those are the characteristics. So when people look for me, these are along the lines that they're looking for, right? For me, it's more along the lines of, I just want to help someone get to where they're going. So whether that's fitness, whether that's beauty, I'd say a third of my followers aren't even in the tech niche. They're completely like in different unrelated fields. They just like my content, which I appreciate. Like that lets me know that I'm doing something right somewhere, right? On an average day, I gain about 250, 300 followers a day. If I tweet more, I'll get more, but if I keep it normal, or even if I take a break, it'll still give me about those numbers. But I will say it all comes back to the same thing. I'm not sharing, fitness tips, right? Or I'm not over there sharing, how to, build a business or something like that. I'm staying within my niche, and people have known me for that. And that is why once you become known in that niche, people will start approaching you with opportunities that are like-minded, or the people that want to spend money with you for that product will come because they know you're an authority on that. So be your most authentic version of yourself. Don't try to create some facade. And I know we said one tip and it's like 7 now, right? But
no, that's great. Carry on.
Don't create a facade, right? Be the most authentic version of yourself. I say this all the time because let's say you want to be a motivational person, right? For 3 months, you can copy post and all this and that, and that's fine. But what happens after that? You can't maintain it, because when you build a brand, it's not a 60-day test. What is a 60-day test? Anybody can do 60 days. This is the long haul. We're talking years. And if that's not who you are, it's going to be incredibly difficult to keep up that facade. So one thing that I always say is you're in the best position to help your previous self. Meaning, if you lost a bunch of weight and you became a bodybuilder, you're in the best position possible to help the previous version of yourself that was overweight, that was out of shape, etc., right? If you didn't know how to code and you learned how to code, you're in the best position to help yourself, because you can talk about the things that you experienced, the languages that you learned, the ideas that you were able to get. You're in the best position to do that because you lived it, you've experienced it, and it's real. So whatever you're going for, be real, because the biggest thing with my audience, and I'm so grateful for this, they constantly say, we know that you're real. We believe what you say because we know it's coming from a real place. For me, I'll be completely honest, money cool and all that, it's not why I do this. I seriously don't charge for like anything career related. It's always $0. Anything getting a job in tech is always $0. I don't want to make money off of monopolizing somebody's dream. That's just me. I just want to help people. The thing is, I give away a ton of resources. We've done school drives where we help kids get stuff to school. It's just who I am as a human being. But the money that I earn helps facilitate that goal. Giving charity is great, but you can only give so much before your pocket bleeds. But if you can create revenue around it to help keep feeding it, you've developed a pipeline that will feed it forever. That is what my goal is in this. But to answer your question, I hope I answered it. I know I went for a paragraph and it became an essay, but
No, seriously, that. Yeah, I mean that answer is just amazing, and there's so much to that, because in terms of the value bombs, let's say, we could take different snippets of what you said and just sort of make whole different episodes on this. But in short, I would say that I'm just grateful for you coming on to share your knowledge on this topic, because as I say, you're a master. And I think I'm not the only one who's able to see that now, and just listening to the passion that you have talking about the subject that you love talking about and the niche and all of that. I mean, that's just inspiring. And I hope it also inspires the listeners as well. Just, do you have time for one more question or not?
I could do one more.
One more is, if you had to start over, Danny, what would you do differently?
I'm trying to find the nicest way to say this. Not a damn thing. Like, what's funny is in March of 2020, I had 300 followers, right? I was tweeting pretty much the same stuff that I'm tweeting now, right? And people in the beginning, they're like, who do you think you are? You think you're some like motivational guy? You think you're some, inspirational guy? And then March of 2020, I started tweeting. April 1st, I had 1,000 followers, right? And then people were still saying, like, who do you think you are? Some big shot? You think you know it all? Then I remember from April 1st to May 1st, I had 14,000 followers, right? It was exploding. And people were saying, oh, you think you're some authority or something? And then from May 1st to June 1st, I had 28,000 followers or 30,000 followers. I have screenshots of this. But in June, people were like, oh, I start my day reading your stuff, right? And then June to July, it went again. And they were like, whoa, I where do you get this insight? Your preparation will lead to your destination. Meaning, if you niche down, focus, and really like prepare yourself and act as if you're there, that's the impression you want to give off, that you already know what you're talking about. If my follower count went to 0 today, I would still make the exact same tweets. I would still make the exact same, like, try to help out people the same way that I help out, because that's just who I am. It's what I believe. Prepare yourself, see exactly what you want, like down to the T. Like, what do you want, right? Like, I can give you a million ideas, but only you really know what you want. Like, do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want a nice house? Do you want a car? Like, do you want a big presence? Do you want a small presence? For me, the quality matters way more than the quantity. I don't care about vanity metrics. And the biggest tip that I can give you, period, is engagement matters more than follower count. I have a list that I keep. It's on private. It's called accounts with low engagement, but high followers, right? There's accounts with 250,000 followers, 1 million followers, 2 million followers, right? And they have tweets that they make. It's like 5 likes, 6 likes. I would rather have my account than have theirs. Like my following is a fraction of theirs, and I would still rather have that, because the engagement breeds more engagement. The idea collaboration breeds more ideas, right? So if you keep that engagement high, if you keep people really thinking about the stuff that you're talking about, that matters way more in the long term, because an engaged audience is an audience that will follow you to whatever platform you go to. That's number one. Because I was able to take that audience from Twitter and take it to YouTube, take it to LinkedIn, etc. That audience will travel with you. I took my LinkedIn audience to Twitter. Like, they'll come with you, right? And the other thing is, with that, when they're engaged, it means they really identify with the subject matter you're talking about, with the ideas that you're talking about, but more so, they identify with you as a creator. And that is paramount in all things, because if you were to really be known in technology and then you start making YouTube videos, you start making courses, those are paths to monetization right there. Like, it's amazing to do this for free, but it feels even better if you get a paycheck for it. Am I right? Like, everyone loves to do stuff, but if you can actually make a living off of what you love, that's the absolute dream. And like, for me, even for work, like, I don't ever wake up and I'm like, oh man, it's Monday, gotta get at it. No, I wake up, I'm ready for work. I'm ready for all the things that I do, because it's what I love. I enjoy this. So whatever it is that you're trying to be a creator on, find your enjoyment, find the thing that you really want to be known for, but make sure it's who you really are. Because if I were to like try today and start like a car account, that would be work, because I could care less about cars, honestly. Like, that's not my thing, right? Like, it's not. And like, I mean, I would have to source pictures. I'd probably have to steal a lot of content. Like, that's not coming from a natural place. Like, this is being honest. But for me to talk about like changing mindsets. I love challenging ideas. So for me to challenge ideas and make you question things that you've done for 20 years, I could do that all day long. Like that, I don't even have to think. There's many times where I wake up in the middle of the night to, go to the bathroom, and like I lay back down, and like in that moment, I'll be like, oh, I barely open, and I'll just tweet something real fast because I just had something come to my mind. Like it's just who I am. So when you're authentic, it's so easy to maintain that in the long term, and that's all that really matters.
Wow. To say that this was valuable would just be a complete understatement. So I'm going to end it off on that. I'm not even going to add to it. I'm not even going to ask any further questions. This has just been pure gold. So Danny, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll catch you online. And please, our audience too, follow Danny on Twitter, Danny Thompson. He's incredibly helpful, incredibly nice, incredibly humble as well. And as you can see, he just talks pure gold. So thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you for having me. Work hard, be consistent, and I can't wait to see all the new levels you reach. Thank you.